Elon Musk shocks by adopting black homeless woman. Millionaire reveals secret that stuns all. The city never sleeps, but today, Manhattan's heartbeat seemed uneven. Something had broken through the noise. The kind of buzz you feel in your guts before the news hits the streets. Cameras flashed. Phones recorded. Murmurs grew into shouting headlines. Jack Reynolds, tech millionaire, had adopted a young black homeless girl from under the neon buzz of 14th Street. Maya. No one saw it coming. Not the business world, not the press, and definitely not the skeptical public. Jack Reynolds, the king of Silicon Valley East, notorious for his cold brilliance, cold deals, and colder public image, had stepped into the chaos of fatherhood in the most radical way possible. Whispers spread fast. Why, they asked. Who was this girl with haunted eyes and broken shoes? A scrap scavenger more used to hunger and fear than the gleam of penthouse suites? Some scoffed, some cheered, but all watched. Some called it a stunt. Hardened sharks snapping at the idea of a white tech god adopting a black street kid. Others, stunned silent, sensed something bigger, something deeper. Maya's face was a mystery on the city's giant screens. Sharp, cheekbones dusted with grime, hair tangled like the subway wires above, and those eyes, fiery, too fast to read, like she held secrets she wasn't ready to share. Jack stood beside her, his jaw tight, eyes flickering with doubt no headline could capture. No one knew yet what lurked beneath her skin. Something electric, something impossible. The girl wasn't just surviving. She was cracking codes with her mind, like computers weren't even built yet. Files decrypted before programs finished loading. Data patterns twisting under her gaze. Jack's chest felt tight every time Maya looked at him, as if her silent questions stabbed him with every blink. How do you protect someone who can outthink the world? How do you be a hero when the world wants to tear you down? The media frenzy spiraled. Cameras caught Jack's trembling hands holding Maya's small ones. They caught the crowd's mixed faces. Shock, awe, skepticism. Is he crazy? One whisper spat. Or is this the world changing before our eyes? Another wondered. Behind the glossy headlines, Jack wrestled with demons. No boardroom ever showed him his past, whispered threats. His old rival, shrouded in shadows, watched and waited, ready to strike. And Maya? She carried a secret that could rewrite technology, could turn everything Jack built inside out. Then one cold evening, a message slipped under Jack's door. A sharp warning. No name, no promise. Just a threat from the ghosts of a past Jack thought he'd buried deep. Jack's world cracked. The weight of his choice pressed in harder than the city's roaring streets outside. Father? Protector? Savior? What line could he cross before it was all lost? The city lights flickered. A shout echoed. Maya's hand tightened on Jack's, and between the fear and noise, one question tore through the doubt. What really lurked beneath Maya's quiet gaze? And how deep into the shadows would Jack have to go to keep her safe? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Jack's heartbeat thundered as he felt Maya's grip tighten. The city outside felt alive, pulsing with uncertainty. Jack's mind raced, battling the ominous words that had been slipped under his door. No names, just warnings. Predators hunted in the shadows where he once felt invincible. Maya turned to him, her wide eyes reflecting the city's neon glow. "What's wrong, Jack?" she asked, her voice soft but steady. The question hung heavy, an anchor in the storm. He opened his mouth, ready to assure her everything was fine, but the lies caught in his throat. He couldn't cage the fear that danced behind his eyes. Before he could respond, a siren screamed past, slicing the tension in the air. Jack glanced toward the window. People moved in a frantic blur, like moths drawn to flames. And then, just as a chill crept into the room, the lights flickered again. This time, Jack didn't ignore it. Something was off. "Maya, stay here," he said, the words a murmur, barely above a whisper. He stepped toward the door, heart drumming a frantic rhythm. Another noise broke through, the cackle of laughter. Not amused, not playful, menacing. Jack opened the door, peering into the dim hallway. Time seemed to slow. Shadows shifted. Two figures loomed, their faces concealed in hoods. One stepped forward, a flash of metallic glint catching Jack's eye. A knife. "Jack Reynolds, just the man we wanted to see," one of them sneered, his breath a taint of smoke and malice. The other stepped forward, cracking his knuckles. "You think you can play God with that girl?" Jack's chest tightened. He didn't need to know who they were. It didn't matter. "Get out!" he demanded, his voice steadier than he felt. "Or what? You'll protect her?" The first man laughed again, a chilling sound that ricocheted off the walls. "You don't even know what she is, do you?" His heart sank. He glanced back at Maya. She stood there, eyes wide, filled with fear, but something more. A spark, a fire of understanding that chilled Jack's bones. Whatever they meant hit deeper than words. "Maya?" he asked, urgency creeping into his voice. The men exchanged glances, seeing the crack forming. "Oh, she's special, all right," the second man said, stepping closer, an unsettling grin breaking across his face. "Maya," Jack pressed. "What do they mean? What do you know?" Her eyes blazed with something Jack hadn't seen before, an intensity mingling with vulnerability. "I can't. Not yet," she whispered, voice trembling. Suddenly, a loud crash exploded from the street, glass shattering like tiny stars scattered across the pavement. People screamed, chaos erupted. Jack turned, heart racing. A distant sound, a familiar roar of engines. He caught a glimpse of a black SUV, pulling to a stop just outside. "Too late now," the hooded man shouted, eyes darting toward the explosion of chaos. "You're in deeper than you think." In that moment, fear morphed into clarity. Jack didn't just have to protect Maya from threats outside. There was something buried deep within her, the key to something big, something dangerous. He felt the walls closing in, shadows spinning webs around them both. As the street exploded into chaos, a gut-wrenching realization washed over Jack. He didn't know who Maya truly was, or what kind of danger her presence would bring, not just to her, but to him as well. "You have no idea what you're up against, Jack," one of the men hissed, stepping back, intertwining with the shadows of the world he thought he controlled. In the face of looming chaos, a deeper question lingered, curling in the corners of his mind. What had he unleashed by bringing Maya into his world? The uncertainty was as thick as smog, and in that swirling confusion, a new fear took root. What if he wasn't the one? Maya's grip tightened on Jack's hand. The noise around them faded, like the city itself was holding its breath. Jack's heart raced as he felt the weight of the question hanging between them. "What do I do?" he thought. Suddenly, a loud crash erupted from the street. Glass shattered. The crowd gasped. Jack turned, instinctively pulling Maya closer. A black SUV had barreled through the intersection, stopping just short of the curb where they stood. Sirens wailed in the distance, echoing the rising tension of the moment. Then it happened. A figure stumbled out of the vehicle, a woman, tall and imposing, framed by the flashing lights. Dressed in a sharp suit, hair slick, she called out to the crowd as she approached Jack. "Reynolds, we need to talk!" Her voice boomed, cutting through the chaos like a knife. Jack's pulse quickened. He recognized her, Clara Matthews, his former business partner, a wraith from his past he thought had disappeared into the shadows after their brutal fallout. What the hell is she doing here? He thought, dread creeping under his skin. "Clara, this isn't the time!" Jack shouted back, his voice strained. Maya was shifting, her eyes darting, sensing the urgency that suffocated the air. The crowd watched, whispers rippling through the throng. "Is that Clara Matthews?" someone asked. "I heard she went off the deep end after they fought." Others speculated about scandals, alliances, and betrayals that had brought them to this moment, their eyes wide with anticipation. With measured steps, Clara closed the distance. "You don't understand, Jack. They're coming for her," she hissed. Nodding toward Maya, the words landed like a punch. "The tech we were working on. She's the key." Jack felt the room spin. "What are you talking about?" he managed, glancing down at Maya, whose expression shifted to confusion. "What tech? What do you mean coming for her?" Before Clara could reply, a second figure emerged from the shadows. A man, scruffy and wild-eyed, his clothes ragged like he'd just crawled out from under a bridge. "You need to listen," he shouted, breathless. "They will do anything to silence her." Maya's hand slipped from Jack's grasp. She stepped forward, defiantly staring at the man. "Who are you?" But before he could respond, the streets erupted in chaos. Police sirens grew louder. The crowd surged. People shrieked, bumping into one another, panic slicing through them like a blade. "Get back! Get back!" Officer shouted, struggling to contain the chaos. In the frenzy, Jack's heart raced faster than a New York minute. "Maya, get behind me!" he shouted, instinct kicking in. His protective instinct surged, yet his mind buzzed with confusion. All he wanted was to keep her safe. But safety felt like an illusion, slipping further away. The wild-eyed man grabbed Maya's arm. "I can help you if you trust me," he yelled. The look in his eyes was wild, desperate. Jack's chest tightened. He felt sick. "Don't trust him, Maya. Come here." Clara's face hardened, her eyes darting across the crowd. "They've already sent people. You don't have much time." She turned to Jack with urgency. "You have to choose. Keep her safe or stand by and watch the world blow up because of her gift." Maya stood frozen, torn, fear reflected in her wide eyes as she stared at Jack, then back at the bizarre chaos around them. What gift? What was Clara talking about? Suddenly, uncertainty hung thick in the air. "Jack!" Maya shouted, urgency breaking out in her voice. "Who should I trust?" Just then, a sharp crack echoed through the chaos. A gunshot. Instinctively, Jack threw himself over Maya, shielding her. A chilling fear took hold as the crowd erupted into screams. They were no longer simply observers. They were caught in a game far larger than any of them ever anticipated. As Jack's body shielded Maya, one question burned in his mind. What price would he have to pay to protect her? And what truths, buried in shadows, waited to be unearthed? Jack felt the heat of the moment consume him, a tightness wrapping around his chest. He huddled over Maya, his body shielding her from the chaos erupting outside. The gunshot had sent a shiver down his spine, a low hum of panic resonating through his thoughts. "What do I do?" pressed like a weight against his heart. "Maya, stay close," he said, his voice like gravel. He could hear the chaos escalating outside, the gasps, the screams, the frantic footsteps. Clara was right. This was no ordinary night, but he didn't have time to think. "We need to move." As he shuffled backward to lead Maya away, the wild-eyed man grabbed her wrist, his grip tight and urgent. "You don't understand. She's connected to everything. They need her." "Maya, listen to me," Jack cut in, desperation clawing at his throat. Maya's eyes darted between Jack and the stranger, confusion etched into her features. "What do you mean? Who are they?" But before Jack could answer, another ear-splitting shot pierced the evening air. It rang out like a bell, echoing through the already startled crowd. "Maya!" Jack shouted, instinctively pulling her toward him, shielding her further. But then it came crashing down, an unexpected turn of fate that struck sharper than the bullet. As Jack turned, frantic and protective, another figure emerged from the chaos. A woman appeared, breaking through the crowd, and Jack's breath caught in his throat. It was Lisa, his long-lost sister, the one he thought had vanished years ago into the underbelly of the city. The same sister whose face haunted his memories. "Jack!" she cried, voice trembling yet fierce. Desperation woven into every syllable. "You have to listen. They're coming!" Her eyes flicked to Maya, a familiarity sparking a mixture of recognition and alarm. "What are you doing here?" Jack managed, shock flooding through him. "You shouldn't be here. Not now. Stop!" Maya's voice rang out, sharp and clear, cutting through their chaos. "What are you all talking about?" The strength in her voice was unexpected, a spark igniting, but confusion remained etched across her features. "Maya, you don't know what you've gotten into," Lisa said, stepping closer. "You have to trust me." Jack's heart raced, caught between love and fear. A desperate knot tightening in his gut. No one made sense anymore. The storm whirling around them became a tempest of tangled fates. Trust? Trust? You two don't even know me! Maya shot back, eyes wide with hurt. Why would I? Time slid to a halt as secrets spun like spider webs in the air. Jack's chest ached. He had always thought Lisa had abandoned him, lost to the city's darkness. Yet here she stood, interwoven in this mess, like threads connecting an unseen tapestry. Jack, you have to listen, Lisa insisted. It's about what Maya can do. The abilities she has, they go deeper than we thought. They could change everything. Just then, another shot rang out. Faster and closer. The crowd froze as one. Fear gripped them collectively. Jack's instincts surged. Maya, we have to go, now! But before he could move, a blinding light flooded the street. An explosion! The ground shook beneath them. Fire and debris erupted, sending people scattering in a desperate frenzy. In that heated moment, Jack lost sight of Maya. Maya! Panic lanced through him, his world warped, the chaos swirling, and he felt the force of the blast push him back. Eyes stinging from the smoke, he stumbled, searching desperately. Dot! Jack! But she was lost amongst the chaos, swallowed by sudden darkness. The world spun. Urgency clawed at his chest as he gasped for air. In that instant, everything changed. What if Maya's power was the reason they were being hunted? What if Lisa knew more than she let on? What if, turning to Lisa, Jack saw fear reflected in her eyes? What don't you know? He demanded, voice tight. What truth lies buried under all this? As the night deepened, questions echoed louder than sirens. The city's chaos enveloped them, but amidst the pain and uncertainty, one truth cut through. Everything they thought they knew was a fragile illusion ready to shatter. Jack held Maya's hand tighter as a swirl of uncertainty gripped him. The city roared around them, yet the world felt eerily quiet in that moment. Her gaze pierced through him, unwavering, intense. "What is it, Maya?" he whispered, his voice raw with concern. But before she could reply, a sharp crack cut through the air, like thunder. The sound echoed off the steel and glass, a harsh scream of warning. Jack's heart raced. He spun around, eyes darting. The crowd shifted, panic rippling through faces. Each turn met with confusion and fright. Then he saw it, a figure emerging from the shadows, tall and cloaked in darkness. A familiar silhouette that sent icy dread cascading down his spine. It was Marcus, his rival, the one who had promised to ruin him. Jack's blood ran cold. The threat wasn't just a memory anymore. It had materialized into flesh and bone. "Jack," the voice rang out, smooth yet taunting. "You thought you could escape, huh?" Maya's grip tightened. Fear flashed across her face, a mirror to Jack's mounting dread. The crowd instinctively pulled back, a wave of apprehension rolling through them. "Let her go!" Jack shouted, stepping in front of Maya, instinctively shielding her. "This is between you and me." Marcos Mirka, estepando hacia adelante, his ojos glintantes con una luz peligrosa, mucho más grande que tú no. Señor Marcos, pues aquí está el coclic. Aquí, Asensio, este punto se dio la empresa de la mecasa. Voice oozing with malice. I know what she can do. You'll regret bringing her into your world. Those words hit Jack like a fist to the gut. Something in Maya's expression twisted. A blend of fear and something else. Something he couldn't quite place. She stepped back, pulling her hand from his. The distance felt unbearable. "What did you do?" she whispered, eyes wide with disbelief. "You said I was safe." "I thought I was," Jack shot back, desperation threading through his urgency. "I thought we were safe." In that moment, everything shifted. Jack's mind spiraled, questions crashing into one another. Maya wasn't just a forgotten girl from the streets. There was power hidden within her, a secret that twisted deeper than mere talent. It was something she hadn't revealed, something that would draw the dark side of the tech world right to their doorstep. The crowd murmured, eyes shifting from Jack to Maya and back again. The skepticism of her being a mere stunt fell away, replaced by a dark curiosity. Whispers rose around them. What's her secret? Is she danger or hope? Maya stood taller, a flicker of defiance shadowing her features. "You never asked me who I really am," she declared, her voice strong, cutting through the tension. "And maybe it's time you learn." The air crackled with electricity. Jack felt the ground beneath him shift. The threats were no longer distant shadows. They were breathing down his neck, clawing at his foundations. As the city lights glared down, illuminating their faces, he realized the choice to protect Maya was deeper than blood. It was a plunge into darkness he never anticipated. Without warning, a flash erupted at the edge of the street, blinding lights cutting through the shadows. Jack squinted just as a loud explosion crackled in the distance. The world around them shattered with the shockwave, a harbinger of chaos. And then, nothing but silence fell again. That heavy, thick silence where you know something monumental has just shifted. What had they walked into? And what dark secrets lay buried within the girl standing before him? The questions loomed larger than ever, pulling Jack into a storm he couldn't escape. Jack stood there, the city's pulse echoing in the distance, feeling Maya's grip tighten. The weight of her gaze pinned him, and he could almost hear her unasked questions whispering in the air. Then came the thunderous roar of a commotion behind them. Chaos erupted, surged forward like a tidal wave. Screams sliced through the crowd. Jack spun around, eyes wide as panic exploded like fireworks. Someone shouted, "Gun!" The word hung heavy in the chill evening air, sending adrenaline jolting through him. Hands flew up, and bodies scrambled backward as a man barreled through the crowd, wildly waving something shiny. A gun, glinting dangerously in the city lights. Maya's face went pale, shock freezing her features. Jack's heart raced. He couldn't let anything happen to her. "Stay close," he barked, pulling her behind him. The crowd swelled in a desperate wave, muttering in disbelief. Phones captured the chaos as spectators fled. Jack's instincts kicked in, every ounce of his being focused on keeping Maya safe. The gunman shouted, curses and threats, a mess of emotions spilling out. Fear mingled with rage, and the city buzzed with uncertainty. "Get down!" someone yelled. Jack dove, pulling Maya with him. They hit the ground, the world closing in around them like a vice. The echoes of frantic footsteps and cries filled the air, blurring into a cacophony of panic. Then, a single shot rang out. It felt like time froze. Jack's heart stopped. He turned to Maya, instinctively covering her body with his own. A scream pierced the chaos. Not from the gunman, not from the crowd. From Maya. "Jack!" she cried, her voice chilling him to the bone. He looked up just in time to see her eyes flash with something wild, something deeper than fear, something begging to be set free. And then, everything changed. Without warning, she surged upward, breaking from his hold. "Maya, no!" Jack shouted, lunging, but it was too late. Maya's eyes glimmered with a strange intensity, and in a heartbeat, the air around her shimmered, pulsing with an electric hum. The noise faded. Time unraveled. The world grew lighter. In a blink, the scene before him shifted. The gunman, frozen mid-motion, mouth agape, as if the bullet had lost its way in the air. Jack gasped, his heart racing faster than ever. Maya was somehow controlling time? "Maya?" "Oh," he called, his voice thick with disbelief. Her expression shifted, morphing from fear to something feral, an ancient power surging through her. "I'm not just a kid, Jack," she whispered, her voice low but resonant. "I've been waiting for someone to see." Behind Jack, the crowd remained still, snapshots of fear dancing on their faces. Minutes stretched into infinity. He stumbled back, stunned. The girl he had thought was vulnerable held incredible power, a force he never imagined. But a sinister shadow loomed behind Jack, the old specter he had feared, who would stop at nothing to take back control. The air grew heavy with foreboding. They both knew the truth now. This wasn't just about fatherhood or heroism anymore. The gunman blinked out of existence, replaced by the sudden realization of danger from within. Jack's breath hissed in his throat. What had he really done by adopting Maya? The storm clouds of his past were rolling in, and every choice he made would ripple through this new reality. A new question formed in the chaos. What other secrets did Maya hold? How deep had he unknowingly plunged into this world where everything he thought he knew collapsed into dust? The city still roared outside, undeterred, as Jack faced the daunting truth. Maya was no ordinary girl, and the shadows were closing in fast. Maya's hand tightened around Jack's. The question hung heavy in the air, brimming with an urgency he couldn't explain. What did she see behind all that grit and pain? The lights of the city blurred into a stream of color. Yet all Jack could focus on was the flicker of fear in her eyes. He swallowed hard, battling the prickling sensation at the back of his throat. Then a deafening crash shattered the moment, echoing through the alleyway like gunfire. He turned, heart racing, just in time to see a man stumble, blood streaming down his forehead, a wild look in his eyes. The crowd gasped, pressing close, their breath hitching in shocked unison. Jack felt the energy shift, tension rising like heat before a storm. Lights from cameras shifted, capturing every chaotic second. "Maya!" Jack yelled, instinct reaching out for her. She remained still, eyes locked on the stranger who now collapsed at their feet. Around them, gasps turned to murmurs. Whispers grew louder. Jack crouched beside the fallen man, desperate to offer help, but paralyzed by fear and the prying eyes of onlookers. "Call 911," someone shouted. But the crowd was frozen, caught in the spell of those swirling shadows. Then, as he bent over, Jack's breath caught. The man's shirt was smeared with a logo. Jack's logo, the one he thought he'd left behind in his past. This wasn't just any stranger. His eyes met the man's, pooling with desperation and rage, and there was a flicker of recognition. "Maya! Get back!" he half shouted, shielding her. But it was too late. The man gripped Jack's wrist, pulling him close. "You don't know what she is. What you've brought into this world." Panic sizzling in the air. Maya's eyes widened, understanding crashing over her. She stepped back, drawing away from both men. The crowd surged, pushing in. Phones filmed the chaos, their bright screens flooding the scene like spotlights in a darkened void. "Nobody knows," the man rasped, voice a broken whisper, twisting the truth in ways Jack had never conceived. "They'll come for her. They already know." Jack felt an invisible thread shatter between him and Maya. She dropped his gaze, locking onto the darkness beyond the streetlights, and for a breath, something entirely new flickered in her eyes, a mix of fear and defiance. Then, before Jack could reach for her, she turned and dashed into the crowd, slipping like a ghost. Heart racing, he stood, confusion swirling like smoke. "Stop her! Don't let her go!" he yelled, pushing through the throng. The man on the ground struggled to rise, urgency in his eyes. "Maya is in danger!" Jack shoved past shoulders, barely seeing the shocked faces morph into an unrecognizable blur. The threat washed over him, a tidal wave, tearing down the barriers he thought he had built. "Jack!" the man bellowed. "You're in deeper than you realize!" The words struck him like shards of glass. The city kept moving, but inside him, time froze as realization hit like a punch to the gut. This wasn't just about adoption. This was a race against something far darker than he'd ever anticipated. Where had Maya gone? What did she really know? And why did he suddenly feel like the hunted rather than the protector? A heartbeat passed, a breath held, and then the crowd roared. Jack's pulse thundered as he surged forward, fists clenching, the shadows pulling him deeper into the night. Every question twisting like barbed wire through his mind. In the chaos, he realized something so simple, yet so monumental. The truth about Maya wasn't just a mystery, it was a ticking bomb. And he didn't know how long he had until it exploded. Jack pushed through the crowd, the air thick with fear and confusion. Maya had slipped away, and every moment without her felt like a punch to the gut. Murmurs swirled around him, a tide of voices full of dread. The man on the ground struggled to rise, eyes wild with terror, but Jack wouldn't let another moment slip by. "Maya!" he shouted again, desperation clawing at his throat. He fought his way deeper into the throng, hands brushing past strangers, hearts racing in unison. Panic was contagious. "Jack!" the man called, his voice trembling. "You need to stop her! She's not just a kid!" The urgency in his tone curled Jack's stomach. "You don't know what you're involved in!" But Jack had only one thought: find Maya. He pushed harder against the crowd, fear morphing into determination. Then he spotted her, standing still amidst the chaos, eyes wide as if frozen in time. "Maya!" he yelled again. But then something strange happened. In the blink of an eye, the crowd around her seemed to part like the Red Sea. She stood at the center, and with a flick of her wrist, the air shimmered. The world felt suddenly weightless. Jack felt the ground shift beneath him, the familiar hum of the city fading into silence. Everything around them blurred. Then, to his disbelief, something within Maya ignited. She raised her hand, and a pulse, a shockwave, radiated out from her. The spectators gasped, their stunned faces aglow with shock and awe. "Maya, stop!" he called. But it was too late. With a blinding flash, the world warped, and before he could grasp what was happening, a wave of energy cascaded through the alley. The crowd erupted in stunned screams. The colors of the night twisted. Then the air thickened, tension snapping like a rubber band, and all at once, the lights dimmed. Time seemed to stand still. Jack stumbled backward and collided with someone amid the chaos. A familiar face, yet one he hadn't seen in years. "Lisa?" he breathlessly gasped. His heart twisted. His sister, the one who had vanished, standing right there, eyes wide and frantic. "Jack? There's no time!" she shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. "Maya is tapped into something beyond!" But before she could finish, the world shifted again. The blast of energy coalesced into an unfamiliar form, an entity rising like a specter from the shadows. It was a woman, cloaked in dark realities, her eyes swirling like galaxies. The moment drew taut like a bowstring, and Jack's breath hitched. "Maya!" Jack screamed, reaching out as if he could tether her to himself before this apparition could take her away. But the woman moved like smoke, blending into the air around Maya. The crowd recoiled, shielding their faces, yet some remained transfixed, staring as realization dawned. The entity smirked, and an unholy quiet enveloped them. "She is the key," the woman rasped, voice echoing as if from the depths of a hollow grave. "The key to this world and the next." The weight of her words pressed down, heavy and foreboding. Jack's heart raced. "Key? What do you mean?" But she only laughed, a sound full of malice. Tension rippled through the crowd, uncertainty blooming like wild, tangled roots. In that moment, Maya turned to Jack, her eyes shimmering. "I didn't want you to know," she whispered, her words melting in the chaos. Then, like a dam breaking, memories flooded in. Images of experiments, of stolen technology, of a team driven mad with greed. "Those men you've been protecting me from, they're nothing compared to this." Jack stood frozen, the realization crashing over him like a wave. Their world had unraveled. The girl he adopted, so innocent, was woven into something dark, a power that held the city in its grip. He wasn't just protecting her, he had unleashed something beyond comprehension. The crowd released a collective gasp as the woman reached for Maya. "It's time to claim what is ours," she hissed, as familiar faces turned twisted in shock. "Maya!" Jack screamed, fear chopping through his voice. The mystery of her past untangled, revealing secrets he had never wanted to confront. He fought for clarity in the storm, struggling against the tide of fate. But with a final, deafening pulse, the woman pulled Maya close, and for a split second, everything went black. In that piercing moment, Jack realized truth and danger wrapped around him tighter than any bond. As the world dimmed, One question throbbed in the silence. What had he really stumbled into, and how far would they have to dive to untangle this web of shadows? The world dimmed. Jack found himself standing in a void, a silence so heavy it pressed down on his chest. The air felt thick, charged with something beyond his understanding. Maya was locked in the grip of that dark woman, the entity radiating a sense of chilling power. And in that wild moment, everything felt suspended, as if time itself had stopped. And then, a sudden flash. The void erupted into blinding light, and Jack shielded his eyes. There was a shockwave that knocked him back, a surge of energy flooding through him like electricity. He stumbled, disoriented, as the light morphed into a whirlpool of color, twisting time and space until it tore apart like fabric. In the chaos, a scream sliced through the air, shrill and desperate. Jack's heart raced. "Maya!" he cried, pushing through the brightness. But she seemed to float away, a delicate figure held captive by the shadows. Then the light shattered, revealing a scene so unexpected it felt like a punch to the gut. Jack stood in a different place altogether, a familiar one, a room he thought he had left behind long ago. The walls glared with the starkness of white and gray, sterile and cold. A meeting room at his old company. Confusion gripped him. What was happening? And there, standing at the head of the table, was an even more shocking sight. Jack's father, long thought deceased. The man stood, as if untouched by time, his presence an anchor in Jack's spinning world. "Son," the man said, voice calm, but heavy with unspoken words, "it's time you learn the truth." "What?" Jack's shock tore at him. His heart thundered against his ribs. This couldn't be real. His father was supposed to be gone. A face lost to memory and regret. Maya is more than you think. "She's connected to you, to us," his father continued, stepping closer. "Your mother died to protect that legacy." "Legacy?" Jack repeated, his pulse racing. "What are you talking about?" Before he could grasp the implications, Maya appeared beside him. Pale, trembling, she looked at Jack, confusion clouding her eyes, emotion swirling like a storm around them. "Jack, what's happening?" Suddenly, the walls around them flickered, shadows peeling back to reveal images, snippets of Jack's childhood, hidden conversations, and experiments he had long buried in his mind. There was chaos in those memories, faces twisted in pain. The dark woman reappeared, eyes darting, watching. "Everything is connected," Jack's father insisted. "Maya is a part of this, and so are you. The power you both hold, it's what they fear." "No!" Jack shouted, taking a step back. "I won't be a part of this." But the room trembled, and with a roar, it shattered like glass. Jack found himself back in the street, surrounded by the crowd once more. But something fundamental had shifted. Maya's eyes, once filled with fear, sparkled with a new awareness. "What have they done to us?" she breathed, realization dawning in her expression. Jack opened his mouth, trying to speak, but the words choked him. Everything felt wrong, like a thread unraveling too fast to catch. Then the gunshot rang out again, louder this time, closer, the faces around him twisted in terror. Someone screamed. The crowd surged, panic igniting. "Maya!" Jack yelled, but she stepped back, the distance between them fraught with an unspoken tension. She glanced at the dark woman, and the energy crackled anew. "We need to choose," she said, voice steady, but heart pounding. "Will we fight together or apart?" Jack's heart thudded painfully. Everything he thought he knew shattered like glass around him. "I don't even know what's real anymore," he shouted, desperate, grappling with the weight of truth pressing against everything he believed. But before he could comprehend what that choice entailed, the woman spoke. "The key has awakened, and with it, the darkness will rise. Choose wisely, for it will determine the fate of them all." Jack felt the pull of shadows behind him as he faced Maya, torn between allegiance and fear. They stood at a crossroads, and deep in his soul, he knew nothing would ever be the same. Maya's voice cut through the chaos, steady yet trembling. "We have to choose." Jack felt the weight of her words, tangled in disbelief and fear. Shadows lurked around them, and every breath was thick with uncertainty. The crowd seemed to hold its breath, waiting for a decision to unfold. Together or apart? She pressed, her eyes unwavering. Jack's heart raced, torn between the darkness closing in and the light he saw flickering in her gaze. It was a moment of awakening, a choice that would shape the world around them. "Maya," he breathed, stepping closer. "I won't let them take you. Not now, not ever." Fear and hope collided in his chest, urging him to act, to fight for her. The dark woman, still looming, regarded them with a chilling smile. "Time is a luxury you don't have," she hissed, her voice a sharp knife. "Your choice opens the door, but can you stand the truth that awaits?" The thought chilled him. What truth? Were they ready to face what lay behind the veil? Jack turned to Maya, searching her eyes. Could they embrace everything? Embrace the power lying dormant within her? "I choose you, Maya," he said, his voice steady. "Whatever it takes." The shadows shifted, a tide pulling them closer to the unknown. Maya nodded, the fierce spark igniting in her eyes. "Then let's do this together." With their hands clasped, they stood firm, hearts racing. Entwined by more than just fear, they were bound by a purpose. The air hummed with potential, the chaos swirling around them fading into a distant echo. The dark woman stepped back, seemingly caught off guard by their resolve. "Fools," she spat, but confusion flickered in her eyes. "You think you can withstand what's coming?" Maya took a deep breath, voice rising with clarity. "We won't back down. We'll rewrite the rules." A shockwave radiated from them, a force that pushed against the shadows, breaking apart the suffocating grip. Jack felt the energy charge around him, how it ignited into vibrant light. The crowd gasped, eyes wide, caught in the spectacle. Suddenly, the darkness peeled back, revealing fractured memories. Jack's childhood, moments of laughter, heartbreak, intertwined with the threads of Maya's life. The struggles she faced to survive. The realization hit him like a wave. They were not alone. They were woven together by shared hurts, dreams yet to be realized. "Maya!" Jack shouted, seeking her gaze amidst the breaking light. "I'm here!" she cried back, the spark of defiance shining strong within her. The dark woman's anger crescendoed, the air crackling with tension. "You can't hold this power forever!" But Jack and Maya, now entwined in purpose, felt an explosion within them. A pulse of energy, raw and electric. They were ready! ready to confront whatever lay ahead. With one final burst, Jack felt the chains binding him snap. They were a storm now, two forces unyielding against the dark. As the shadows receded, they grasped tightly to one another. In that moment, they understood. Together, they could rewrite their destinies. With the dark woman vanishing into the night, the crowd erupted. Jack and Maya were left standing, heartbeat echoing in the void of uncertainty. The city buzzed like a live wire, and a new dawn broke through the haze. But as the silence fell again, Jack felt an unsettling truth linger. Was their fight truly over? Or had they only just scratched the surface of what awaited them? In the dim glow of the new beginning, uncertainty still danced around them, leaving questions hanging in the air like thick fog. What new challenges would rise? What would this choice truly mean for them? Jack turned to Maya, not knowing what lay ahead, but feeling resolute. "Whatever comes next, I'll stand by you." Maya smiled, a flicker of warmth against the chill in the air. "And I'll stand with you." As they faced the city, the pulse of possibility thrumming in their chests, reality blurred into a mystery that would eternally beckon. Now, before you go on with your day, listen up. You need to subscribe immediately so you don't miss the upcoming exclusive stories that'll unfold next. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. The comment section with your reactions and theories about what just happened. And don't wait even a second longer. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.